Welcome to Med Decode. Picture this. You are a tired 30 or 40-something parent. You just got home from a brutally long day at work, and literally the second you walk through the door, your 3-year-old is having an absolute on-the-floor meltdown over the wrong colored cup.
Oh man, the classic blue cup instead of the red cup disaster.
Exactly. And it is just, world ending for them. I mean, parenting a toddler is a full-time job with 0 breaks. And to survive, we often reach for what is easy.
All right, it is just pure survival mode at that point in the day.
Yeah, we grab those convenient snacks, the dinosaur chicken nuggets or the packaged cookies, just to buy 5 minutes of peace. And there is 0 judgment here because we are all just trying to make it to bedtime.
That exhaustion is so valid. I mean, it's a completely universal experience. But today, we have a major plot twist to introduce.
Oh, I love a good plot twist. What are we looking at?
We are setting the mission of this deep dive. We are unpacking a massive prospective study of over 2,000 Canadian children.
Okay, from the child cohort study, right? The one published in JAMA Network Open.
Yes, exactly. And it reveals that those exact convenient, ultra-processed foods at age 3 might actually be the hidden culprits behind those uncontrollable tantrums by age 5.
Wow. Okay, let's unpack this. Because the data says ultra-processed foods accounted for an average of 45.5% of a 3-year-old's daily energy intake.
It's a staggering statistic, isn't it?
No joke. Wait, almost half their diet. Is that just candy and soda, or is it sneaking in elsewhere?
That is probably the most common misconception. It is absolutely not just junk food.
Because when I think of ultra-processed, I picture a vending machine, not a toddler's lunchbox.
Right. But to understand this, the researchers use the NOVA classification system. It categorizes food based on industrial processing. And yes, sweets and desserts were the biggest chunk at 12.5%.
Okay, that part makes sense.
But right behind that at 11.9% were commercial breads and cereals.
Wait, commercial breads?
Yep.
So a parent making a simple turkey sandwich on store-bought wheat bread might inadvertently be feeding their kid ultra-processed food.
Unfortunately, yes. Because under the NOVA system, ultra-processed foods are highly industrialized products. They are loaded with additives, emulsifiers, and artificial flavors.
Stuff you would never find in a home kitchen.
Exactly. They lack natural fiber, and they are designed for corporate profit and shelf life, not nutrition.
Man, that is wild. The food environment is basically rigged against us. And it also includes animal-based products, right? Like those frozen chicken nuggets.
Correct. Those accounted for 7.9%, and ready-to-eat mixed dishes were another big chunk. So they are getting a lot of highly industrialized calories.
So practically half their fuel is coming from these sources. But how does that actually translate to throwing toys and emotional meltdowns 2 years later?
Well, they measured this longitudinally. They used a highly validated tool called the Child Behavior Checklist, or CBCL.
Right. And they found a direct link.
They did. The core finding was that for every 10% increase in energy from ultra-processed foods at age 3, children had significantly higher adverse behavioral scores at age 5.
Wow. Every 10%?
Yes. And it drove up both internalizing behaviors like anxiety, fearfulness, and social withdrawal, and externalizing behaviors like aggression and hyperactivity.
So feeding them this stuff is literally like installing glitchy software in a developing brain. We think we're just giving them a quick snack, but we're actually messing with their emotional baseline.
That is a highly accurate way to frame it, actually. And specifically, sugary drinks and commercial packaged breads were the biggest culprits for those internalizing issues.
Internalizing. So the store-bought breads are making kids more anxious.
Yes, mostly due to rapid blood sugar spikes. A toddler's mood is easily destabilized by that lack of fiber in the sudden sugar crash.
Here's where it gets really interesting. I get sugar crashes. We've all seen a kid bounce off the walls and then cry.
Right, the classic crash.
But the study says this behavioral impact is significant even after accounting for the kid's BMI and total calorie intake. So what else is happening biologically?
What's fascinating here is that the research points to 3 hidden non-caloric mechanisms. It's not just sugar. First, we have endocrine-disrupting chemicals.
Wait, hold on. Endocrine disruptors. Are we talking about the packaging itself?
Exactly. Ultra-processed foods are heavily packaged in industrial plastics, which contain chemicals like phthalates and bisphenol.
And those actually get into the food. Like how much plastic is leaching into a cold cheese stick?
A significant amount over time, especially if the food is high in fat. And once ingested, these chemicals interfere with brain signaling. They scramble the hormonal signals during a highly sensitive developmental window.
Oh, wow. So the hazard isn't just on the nutrition label, it's the plastic wrapper itself.
Precisely. And the second mechanism is nutrient displacement.
Meaning the packaged snack pushes out the good stuff.
Right. A toddler has a very small stomach. If 45% of their calories are ultra-processed, they are not eating enough whole foods.
I feel you. Because if they fill up on the gummy, they aren't going to eat the broccoli or the salmon.
And that deprives the brain of vital micronutrients, things like vitamin D, zinc, iron, and omega-3 fatty acids.
Which the brain desperately needs, right?
Yes, those are critical for neurotransmitter function. Without them, you are starving the brain of what it needs to build mood-regulating circuits.
So that packaged gummy isn't just empty calories, it's displacing the exact nutrients their brains need. What's the third mechanism?
The third is the gut-brain axis and inflammation.
Gut health. I've been seeing so much about this. How do these foods mess with that?
Ultra-processed foods are packed with industrial additives like emulsifiers. In your gut, emulsifiers basically act like a detergent.
A detergent inside a toddler.
Yeah, they degrade the protective mucus layer in the intestine. This triggers the immune system to produce cytokines, which mediate systemic inflammation.
Okay, so the gut gets inflamed. But how does that cause a tantrum?
Because those inflammatory signals travel via the bloodstream and the vagus nerve straight to the brain, causing neuroinflammation.
Wait, really? The inflammation goes to the brain?
Yes, and a chronically inflamed brain is a highly irritable, anxious brain.
Okay, let's take a breath here. Because if I'm listening to this right now, I am probably feeling a massive wave of guilt.
Which is not the goal at all.
Right, but I'm thinking about my pantry full of commercial bread and frozen chicken nuggets. It feels overwhelming. We need to pivot to a solution here.
We do, and the study provides a really incredible one. There is a statistical silver lining called the substitution model.
Oh, thank goodness. What did they find?
They found that replacing just 10% of ultra-processed food calories with minimally processed foods was associated with significantly lower behavior scores across all domains.
Just 10%. That's it.
Just 10%. The internalizing and externalizing behaviors both dropped significantly.
That is an absolute game changer. I mean, think of the math. 10% of a toddler's diet is maybe, 120 calories?
Exactly. It's essentially swapping out one single snack a day.
So you don't have to throw away everything in the pantry or cook every meal from scratch. A tiny strategic shift makes a massive difference in household peace.
Right. It's an empowering micro-intervention. Shifting the balance just slightly gives the brain high-quality fuel and lets the gut start repairing itself.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it really changes the motivation. It's not just eat vegetables because they're healthy. It's I am actively building your emotional resilience.
I agree completely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it extends beyond just the kids. Dietary patterns track into adulthood.
Oh, for sure. We're all in the same food environment.
Exactly. Which raises an important question for all of us. If this is what 10% of ultra-processed food does to a developing brain, what behavioral or emotional quirks in ourselves might be tied to what's sitting in our own kitchen cabinets?
Man, that is a wild thought. Like, are my afternoon slumps or quick tempers amplified by my own reliance on convenience?
It's highly probable. We are all exposed to the same endocrine disruptors and inflammatory additives.
So what does this all mean for us tomorrow morning? How do we apply this? Here are your micro actions. First, the 10% swap.
Keep it simple.
Start tomorrow by trading just one packaged snack like fruit gummies for a real orange or plain yogurt with berries.
That alone pulls out inflammatory chemicals and adds brain-building nutrients.
Exactly. And second, the 5-ingredient rule. When you have to buy packaged foods, turn it into a game of reading labels. Try to pick items with 5 or fewer recognizable ingredients.
If you see a paragraph of chemicals, put back. Look for bread with just flour, water, salt, and yeast.
Protect that little brain and maybe buy yourself a slightly quieter, calmer evening in the process. Take care and see you next time.
And that's a wrap on this episode of MedDecode. I really appreciate you joining me today. If something we talked about sparked your interest, or if there's a medical term that's been bugging you, let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, be a pal and share it with a friend. We'll catch you on the next one.